Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about my top 10 waiver wire ads for week number 5 of the 2021 fantasy football season. Inside of today's video, we're going to be going in depth into each and every single player, as well as explaining why I believe you guys should be looking to pick up these players off of the waiver wire right now. But before we get on into things, I would like to ask, if you are new to the channel and you do end up enjoying today's video, to please make sure that you do hit that subscribe button down below. And while you're down there, whether you are new to the channel or not, please make sure you do hit that like button down below. It would help us out a ton. So without further ado, let's get into my number 10 player in my top 10 waiver wire ads of the week. We begin with Devante Parker, wide receiver of the Miami Dolphins, going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Tampa Bay. Will Fuller ends up breaking his finger, which makes him considered week to week. And at this point, Will Fuller really didn't have a huge cemented role in this offense, as he missed the first 2 games of the season and then played in week number 3 up against the Raiders and week number 4 up against the Colts and didn't do all that much before he got hurt. But that injury further solidifies the role that Devante Parker will have in this offense, at least for the next couple of weeks. Now, I understand on paper, up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, this is going to be a tough matchup, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now are down bad defensively with injuries. And while I don't love the Miami Dolphins offense, I'm a fan of the Miami Dolphins. They're my favorite team. But at the end of the day, I understand that Jacoby Brissett is not the answer. He's not the puzzle piece that is going to help the Dolphins win this game. But at the end of the day, Devante Parker is still going to be peppered with targets as the number 2 wide receiver weapon in this offense behind Jalen Waddle. Week number 4 up against the Indianapolis Colts, he had 4 receptions on 9 targets for 77 yards as well as a touchdown. So I'm not saying that Devante Parker is the second coming of Jerry Rice or something, but what I am saying is that in the situation he is in, he is going to be able to suck in a bunch of targets, thus getting you a bunch of fantasy points week in and week out. And I will recommend that you start him this week up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. At number 9, we have Curtis Samuel, wide receiver of the Washington football team, going up against the New Orleans Saints this week. Now, very similar to Devante Parker, I believe that Curtis Samuel gets a neck up, gets a nice edge up on the rest of the team because of an injury. Logan Thomas is week to week with a hamstring injury, which should open the door for him to see a higher target share in this offense. Now, Curtis Samuel missed week 1, week 2, as well as week 3 of the season. So week number 4 up against the Atlanta Falcons was his debut in a Washington football team uniform, where he went 4 for 4 like he was at Wendy's for 19 receiving yards. So Curtis Samuel is a guy that I don't necessarily believe this week up against the Saints is going to have this explosive game, but I do think maybe a week or 2 down the road that Curtis Samuel could easily be the number 1 waiver wire pickup. And I want you guys to get in early on Curtis Samuel. He is a very versatile piece with how Riverboat Ron is going to look to use him in this offense. I believe he will be seeing a bunch of rushing opportunity on this team as well. And Curtis Samuel has already played with Riverboat Ron in Carolina. So I think Curtis Samuel is going to have a decent role in this offense. To me, he's clearly better than Adam Humphries and all the other wide receivers there, not named Terry McLaurin. So with Logan Thomas going down, this really does give a bigger role and a big boost to Curtis Samuel's potential week in and week out. At number 8, we have the first running back of the video in Michael Carter, running back of the New York Jets, going up against the Atlanta Falcons in Atlanta this week. Michael Carter could be, and probably will continue to be, the lead back for the New York Jets. Week 4 up against the Tennessee Titans, he had 13 rushes for 38 yards, as well as scoring a touchdown. He also tacked on 1 reception on 3 targets for -4 yards. Now, I understand that Michael Carter is far from a sexy running back that you want to throw into your lineup, but he does draw the Atlanta Falcons this week, and the Falcons defense doesn't look very good. The Washington football team looked very good up against that Atlanta Falcons defense, and I do think that the Jets might just be getting better. Now, I'm not saying that the Jets are going to turn into this playoff caliber team from going from the first 3 games of being terrible from week 4 on to being really solid, being one of the best teams in the NFL. Of course, I do not believe that. But I do think that if Michael Carter is able to etch out this role as the number 1 running back, the lead back on the Jets, that will have at least some value. If you are in dire need of a running back, you can pick up Michael Carter and start him this week, but it may take a couple more weeks for him to really flourish in this Jets offense. Before we get on in to the number 7 waiver wire ad from the week, I would like to give you guys a quick word from our friends and our sponsor over at Yahoo Fantasy. We have partnered with Yahoo Fantasy this NFL season to bring you guys an offer that is almost too good to be true. Thanks to our partnership with Yahoo, we have an exclusive deal that gives you guys 2 free months of Awesemo Plus Platinum. You heard that correct, 2 free months. To qualify, you need to be new to Yahoo and sign up for an account via the link in the video description down below. Deposit and play. That's it. Yahoo will send us your name after you play in your first paid contest, and we'll reach out to you via email with your coupon. If you need immediate access because you want to play today, please email support@awesemo.com and we'll get you set up. Just to emphasize, this offer is for new Yahoo users only. If you're already signed up for Yahoo, then you will not be eligible for this promo. Once you're signed up, you can claim $10 of free contest entry credit via the Yahoo 10 link in the description of the video, which you will be able to use in tonight's contest, a $15,000 to first Monday Night Football baller. With your 2 free months of Awesemo Plus Platinum, you'll have access to our tools and projections specifically designed for Yahoo DFS to help you win big with Yahoo Fantasy. Take advantage and join today. Back on into the video. We are back with number 7, Darnell Mooney, wide receiver of the Chicago Bears, this week drawing the Las Vegas Raiders in Las Vegas. Now, we have yet to see the Raiders game tonight up against the LA Chargers, but I expect this one to be a higher scoring back and forth affair. Maybe, just maybe, Matt Nagy will have actually figured things out. Maybe, just maybe, after beating the Detroit Lions, they will let Justin Fields be the starting quarterback of the team. Now, there's a lot of talk right now that Andy Dalton is going to be the starting quarterback this week, and if that is the case, you might as well just burn your waiver wire ad on Darnell Mooney, throw it out the fucking window, because Matt Nagy is an idiot. But if Fields is the guy, Fields looked pretty solid last week. Now, I understand that it was against the Lions. Any quarterback could look great up against the Lions, but I do think that Fields gives Darnell Mooney the best shot to have a big fantasy day. Week 4 up against the Lions, he had 5 receptions on 7 targets for 125 yards, and it seems like Mooney might be the favorite target of Justin Fields instead of Allen Robinson, which would be trouble in paradise for us who ended up drafting Allen Robinson, but very, very nice for us who picked up Darnell Mooney. At number 6, we have another wideout in Emmanuel Sanders of the Buffalo Bills going up against the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City this week. This is going to be one of the most fun matchups of the week as the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs replay the AFC Championship game from last year. Emmanuel Sanders continues to be consistent at being consistent. All season long, he has had 4 weeks in a row with 6 total targets. Last week up against the Houston Texans, he had 5 receptions on 6 targets for 74 yards. Now, I discussed Emmanuel Sanders in last week's video, but it appears that not everyone has picked him up, so he's going to go ahead and sit in this rankings video as well for the waiver wire pickups of the week. I love Emmanuel Sanders. This Buffalo Bills offense is amazing. This Buffalo Bills offense is one of the best in the NFL. It has one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. You know what that's going to lead to? Emmanuel Sanders putting up big points. Now, I understand there may be a couple of down games where Cole Beasley goes off or maybe Gabe Davis goes off, but at the end of the day, Emmanuel Sanders is receiving enough volume week in and week out that you can rely on him up to this point, so I like Emmanuel Sanders a lot. Next up at number 5, we have Emmanuel Sanders' teammate, Dawson Know, tight end of the Buffalo Bills, going also up against the Kansas City Chiefs this week in Kansas City, despite being virtually irrelevant in Dawson Knox's first 2 years of his NFL career. In 2021, he's on fire. Knox is currently one of the top 6 tight ends in fantasy football. Week 4 up against the Houston Texans, he had 5 receptions on 8 targets for 37 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now, a lot of Dawson Knox's value in fantasy football comes from scoring a touchdown, and I know that it sucks when your tight end really heavily relies on that. But it's also a positive when the tight end that you have that relies on a touchdown is on a team that scores a lot of touchdowns. The Buffalo Bills are an absolute amazing team right now. They're one of the best teams in the NFL, if not the best team in the NFL, week in and week out. They are absolutely shit-canning these defenses, and Dawson Knox is a big part of that, so I believe that everyone should be on the Dawson Knox hype train at this point and go ahead and pick him up aggressively this week. At number 4, we have Jamison Crowder, wide receiver of the New York Football Jets, going up against the Atlanta Falcons this week. Now, a lot of people get mad when I call them the New York Football Jets because in reality, it's the New York Football Giants. So we're going to go with the New York Jumbo Jets this week up against the Atlanta Falcons. So Corey Davis was a guy that I basically loved going into the season. Week 1, he has that amazing game. And then in week 2 and 3, this guy is just snoozing in your lineup. But then in week number 4, Jamison Crowder being thrown into this offense just shook everything up. Corey Davis has a great game. Jamison Crowder has a great game. Now, that was up against the Titans' defense. The Titans don't have all that great of a defense. But guess who also doesn't have a good defense? The Atlanta Falcons. So even with Corey Davis being there, and he could be the number 1 receiver in targets, it seems like Jamison Crowder is going to be peppered all game long by Zach Wilson. I believe this could be a high-scoring game because neither of these teams really have all that great of defenses, and if the Jets have maybe flipped the page and became a better team going forward, then Jamison Crowder will have some decent value. Up against the Titans, he had 7 receptions on 9 targets for 61 receiving yards and a touchdown. He is my favorite wide receiver pickup on the week. We have seen him do it in the past for the Jets with Sam Darnold. I just wasn't too sure last week if he would be able to get it done with Zach Wilson, but it's very clear that he can, and he could be a reliable starter every single week, despite the Jets kind of being a dumpster fire. At number 3, we have Samaje Perine, running back of the Cincinnati Bengals, going up against the Green Bay Packers this week. Now, Joe Mixon is currently week to week with a low ankle sprain. So maybe he'll be back in like a week or 2, right? So there's no real need if you have Joe Mixon to fucking panic, mayday, run away. He'll be fine a couple of weeks. Maybe he'll even be fine next week. But right now, it's Samaje Perine time in Cincinnati. And anytime there's a clear backup scenario where I feel like Samaje Perine is going to be seeing not a necessarily workhorse role like Joe Mixon, but seeing a majority of the touches, I'm going to go ahead and pick that up off the waiver wire. Perine is now the lead back in my opinion. Chris Evans is behind him, aka Captain America, but Chris Evans doesn't play too much like Captain America. Week 4 up against the Jags, Perine had 3 rushes for 7 yards and 1 reception on 1 target for 15 yards. This is going to be a tough matchup up against the Packers, but if the Bengals plan to win this game, they're going to have to try to tire that defense out by running the ball, and I think there are far worse options on the waiver wire than Samaje Perine, and if you have Joe Mixon, you definitely need to pick him up. At number 2, we have Damien Williams, running back of the Chicago Bears, this week playing up against the Las Vegas Raiders. But before we hear more about Mr. Williams, I'd like to let you guys know that if you're looking for season-long fantasy football coverage, then we have you covered. Our NFL Express weekly pass is available now for only $3.95, and it is more expansive than ever, as includes access to our trade value tool, strength of schedule tool, and fantasy streaming helper. With that, you will also get our NFL DFS player and ownership rankings, access to our expert Slack chat. You can talk to me in there, and everything we have to offer for NFL DFS showdown and single game contests. New this year to the package, as well as projected ownership and optimal lineup probabilities for tiers contests on DraftKings. Head on over to the Awesemo Plus join page and pick up your pass for only $3.95. Stop guessing, start winning. Join Awesemo Plus today. Back on in to Mr. Damien Williams. So David Montgomery goes down late in the game up against the Lions on Sunday. It appears that this is going to be a knee injury, but the timetable is uncertain. Today, Matt Nagy came out and said that we should know more in the next couple of days. So right now, we probably will not know by Tuesday night when you guys are doing your waivers if David Montgomery is going to be out for a very, very long time, or if it's just going to be maybe a week or 2 absence. But regardless, Damien Williams should be one of the top priorities on your waiver wire ads for the week. In relief of David Montgomery up against Detroit, he had 8 rushes for 55 yards and 1 touchdown, with 2 receptions on 2 targets for 15 receiving yards. So it's very clear that Damien Williams is a solid running back in the NFL, and this week up against the Las Vegas Raiders, I believe that Damien Williams could put up a very solid game, so I like Damien Williams a ton. And my number 1 waiver wire ad for the week is Latavius Murray, running back of the Baltimore Ravens, going up against the Indianapolis Colts. For some reason, there are a decent amount of leagues where Latavius Murray still is not rostered. Murray appears to be the lead back in Baltimore. Now, with Latavius Murray, there is huge risk with adding this guy, but the reward could be immense because they end up scratching Tyson Williams. In the game, Tyson Williams doesn't suit up, he doesn't play. Latavius Murray is given the reins to the offense. Up against Denver, he had 18 rushes for 59 yards and a touchdown. The other backs, Le'Veon Bell, 4 rushes for 11 yards and a target. Devonta Freeman, 1 rush for 4 yards. So Latavius Murray appears to be the head honcho, the lead back in Baltimore. I'm just a little bit worried about the fact that Tyson Williams could just be playing next week and have a big game, and then you're just in limbo with Latavius Murray and Tyson Williams. But right now, this situation seems crystal clear that Latavius is the guy, so I'm going to tell you guys to go ahead and pick up Latavius Murray. So thank you guys all so much for watching this video. If you did end up enjoying, please make sure that you do hit that subscribe button down below. I love you guys all so much. Please make sure you follow me on Twitter if you haven't already, @NotoriousFNTSY. Have a great rest of your guys' day, and as always, goodbye.